Hi there guys, Sam here. You join me once again for another video in the Golf R. Just to talk a little bit around the manual gearbox. I haven't really revisited it too much, and I kind of wanted to share my kind of thoughts of it after the amount of miles I've kind of done on the car. I've done around sort of 23,000 now. The car itself is just about to come up to 24,000 miles. And I just wanted to kind of share my kind of thoughts on it, and it is a dying breed. And I just wanted to talk a little bit around that, so I'll get straight into the video really. So first of all, Golf R is running really well. I haven't had any problems with it. It's been going strong, and a lot of miles sort of adding up in it. And one thing I wanted to mention is obviously about the manual gearbox, and I've done videos on this on the past, and actually when I first picked up the car within a few months I mentioned a little bit about it. And has anything kind of changed on it? Do I have kind of any regrets of not getting a DSG car, or is there anything that I don't like about it compared to other cars that I've driven? One thing that I will say is I think it's great to have a hot hatch in a manual gearbox. I think, everyone's sort of different in what they kind of want out of a car, but for a hot hatch or a hatchback, manual gearbox has always kind of seemed right to me. Although the car's got a fair amount of power, nearly 300 brake horsepower, it's not a level which is just completely uncontrollable in a manual gearbox. It's not something where you can't get the most out of the car, if that makes sense. Yes, a DSG is going to be far faster to 60. It's going to change gear far faster than you could ever imagine doing yourself. But a lot of part of a hot hatch is trying to get a little bit of engagement in the car, and I always felt having a manual gearbox in the car, particularly like a Golf R, it makes you more involved. I've paid a fair amount of money for this car, and I wanted to be involved with it, so that was kind of the reason around it. And also, to be honest, price wise, for me to go for a 3-door manual Golf R, and if I'm 100% honest with you, I would never have got this car if it wasn't at the right price. So it's as simple as that. I suppose after all the driving that I've kind of done in the car, what's my kind of verdict kind of now on it, and what would I recommend to other people kind of potentially looking for a Golf R, thinking about getting one in a manual? I would say it's a great gearbox. For daily driving, it's not too bad. The clutch is a little bit firm. Heavy in some ways because it's just that little bit sharper. But to be honest, it's nothing wearing. To be honest, going back to awful commutes that I've had and stuff in this car, my left leg has never got like tired or anything like that. It's just. It's not been a problem, and if anything, actually, I tend to find issues with my right leg on the accelerator, because you're kind of off and on, or you're just holding it at a steady, slow pace a lot of the time, and you'd get that anyway if you had a DSG. There's some points where you just can't use cruise control because it just doesn't really work, particularly when you're going slow speeds. So a daily kind of use, it's fine. For kind of like, and also to add to that, it does make it more engaging. You kind of keeps yourself active. It can be pretty boring, to be honest, commuting, obviously, and just driving a car generally. So just going up and down the gears, every gear change has its own kind of personal thing to it. It changes over time. Sometimes it's notchy, sometimes it's not. It's different when it's cold, it's different when it's warm. It's different based on how high you're revving each gear and all these kind of things. And I think that's really cool. So there's so many sort of different variations that you can do. It kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. I also do like the whole you can rev it up to just past 3,000, just lift off, get a nice bit of exhaust noise as well. So you may not get any sort of DSG farts or anything like that, but it does make a good noise at the same time. So for me, for a daily use, and this car's coming up to 24,000 miles, I've done about 23,000 in it, absolutely no problems. It probably would be even more relaxing and more easier in a DSG form, but you are paying for that as well. In terms of the engagement side and the fun side, I think they've really hit the nail on the head, actually. And I think it's something that they, there's plenty of videos on the Golf R in general from journalists, and it's such a highly rated car. But I never really get too much positive feedback about the manual gearbox. A lot of people saying, it suits the DSG. It's quite difficult to heel and tow, all these kind of things. And everyone has their own opinion, but I actually think they've done a lot right with this gearbox. And to compare that, don't shoot me for this, I'm going to kind of compare it a little bit to the Cayman GT4's manual gearbox. And the only reason why I do that is because I've done a lot of kind of driving in that around Porsche Silverstone's Experience Centre. I've probably driven it around maybe 7 or 8 times. And that's sort of like a 90-minute session. You know, you're getting the most out of it, you're enjoying it a lot. And obviously, you know, it's got a manual gearbox. That manual gearbox is great. And the one thing that I noticed, and the one thing that everyone else noticed, this is the exact same on the 781 Cayman GT4, is it's got really, really high gearing. You know, you could almost hit sort of like 90 miles an hour in second. And that's pretty ridiculous, really. And particularly if you compare the engine to the car, you kind of need to rev it out a little bit as well to kind of get it going. It doesn't particularly make it engaging on normal day-to-day roads. And even on a track, I'm sitting in second pretty much the whole time, having so much fun, and you know, getting into third for a small amount, then getting straight back down to second. But it definitely made it less engaging as a result, and that's something that they haven't changed in the later generation Cayman GT4. And all the reviews that I see of other people who've driven it even more than I have is, oh, it's just a shame it's got long gearing, really. Well, the Golf R has really, really short gearing, and that's something that really should be celebrated, because a lot of manufacturers do long gearing because it helps with economy, it helps with emissions. Shorter gearing doesn't, basically, in the shortest answer I can give you. You know, you can really get through the gears, and for me, on a normal road, normal speed limits and all these kind of things, you can use easily 5 of the gears. You know, first, second, third, you know, you can easily be below sort of 70 miles an hour. You can get into 4th for a little bit, you know, you can ride the torque a bit. I've sometimes sat in 5th down a bit of a windy road, sort of tried to keep the momentum going, and I found it really, really fun. And it kind of, again, because the car's quite quick as well, obviously it's quick, you're changing gear quite early, and I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoy sort of like the notchy feel of it as well. And there's so much that's right about it, and I think that should really be celebrated, to be honest. And also, I haven't really had any problems with it either, you know, no issues. The clutch feels perfectly fine, the gearbox has been fine, you know, I've never really had any bad jerky changes, to be honest, at all. Certainly ones that are like mechanically related, if that makes sense. And if you were to take this car on track, I think it'd be a whole heap of fun with a manual gearbox, personally. And if you're a better driver than I am, you can really heel and toe, and you can play around with the gearbox a lot better, you'd probably have a lot of fun. And that's a lot to be said for something that is basically a Volkswagen Golf at the end of the day. You know, it's not designed to be a track car, it's not designed to be the most fun and engaging car that they make. You know, they did such a good job in the Club Sport S, and that was a real unique thing that they did. This was never meant to be like that, but it still has that edge of fun, and the gearbox is a big part of it, and they're not on that many Golf Rs out there. And for me, particularly in an age where things are changing massively, you know, most cars aren't having manual gearboxes now, most cars are having 5 doors. I feel quite happy to be in this car and to kind of be enjoying it while it lasts, to be honest, because it's not going to last forever. But yeah, I hope this little summary helps. And again, I've got so many videos on this Golf R on my channel, but I did want to just talk about and sort of celebrate a little bit around the gearbox, because I think, you know, credit where credit's due. I think they've done a great job, and that's my personal opinion. And you know, I hope it kind of gives me the same amount of joy kind of through the next many thousand miles that are doing it, really. Yeah, you know, thanks so much for watching. You know, let me know your thoughts. If you're a manual gearbox owner, whether it's a Golf R or not, let me know your thoughts on that. Listen, everyone has their personal preference of what they prefer, and at the end of the day, this is just what I prefer. But hopefully my thoughts and my ownership experience over the last few years and the amount of miles I've done will help you guys out as well. Thanks ever so much again for the support, the subscribers and the views on the channel. It's really, really great. There is plenty more stuff coming on this Golf R. You know, I'm really looking forward to next week fitting a new set of tyres to the car, which, you know, hopefully might give it a little bit of new lease of life. And again, I reckon I can have a pretty good comparison over like comfort, ride quality, you know, handling, wet handling, you know, wind noise, whatever, or tyre roar noise, tyre life, all these kind of things. I can have a direct comparison to the standard Bridgestone Potenzas, which are on there at the moment. And you know, thanks again for tuning into my other video where, you know, I did take your opinions on what tyres to go for quite seriously, and obviously I'll let you know when I fit the tyres and what they actually are. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you want to watch my latest video, click up there. If you want to watch a video I think you'll really be interested, click down there. And if you'd like to subscribe, and I hope you do, please click on the link just in front of my face here. And please like the video if you've enjoyed it. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.